I don't care how many times you announced it on the loudspeaker. I don't care how many emails you sent that morning. I do not care, because that does not change the fact that that is fundamentally unfair. James, lol, I may have some thoughts about Asian champs. Yes, I knew it, James. So let's move on from admin into some juicy drama. Just some delicious, moist, straight out of the oven drama. Okay. Asian Championships. Let me summarize for you, everyone, my understanding of what happened at Asian Championships regarding scheduling. JJ Cuber, I will need an explanation of the double-decker thing. I missed that as well in the chat from Asian Championships. I don't know what that was. Asian Championships scheduling drama. Here's what happened, okay? They essentially, what happened in a nutshell, they got ahead of schedule, which, first of all, is incredibly impressive for a huge, nearly 700 people competition. That is in itself very impressive, I would say. Congratulations and well done to the delegates for that. Like, kudos, credit where credit is due. That is impressive. However, as a result of that, they started moving events forward in the schedule. Okay, sure. I guess make hay while the sun shines. If you're ahead of schedule, if you're getting the job done, why not shift things a little bit forward and see how you go, you know? I was at a competition the other weekend, a very, very tiny one. I don't think there was even 20 people. It was a series of 3 very short little comps in Christchurch. It was a bit cute. What happened was we got ahead of schedule and everyone who was competing was in the room. So our delegate was able to go, hey, everyone, we're ahead of schedule. We're just going to keep pushing on. That sound good? And everyone went, yeah, that sounds good. Because it was a 1-day, 4-hour competition. And it was very easy to do that. Oh, Antoine's online. Okay, hold on a second. I'll add a call in a few minutes. Just finishing up something. Okay, cool. Sorry, Antoine's going to join us after this, okay? So they got ahead of schedule, and what happened was people were turning up. This is Asian Championships I'm talking about. People were turning up for their allotted times at the time that they were told to turn up, which was, I think, 50 minutes or half an hour before the event was scheduled to start. They were turning up at that original time and being told, nope, you're not competing anymore because you are now late according to our new schedule, all right? Now, to me, my opinion, that's really unfair. To change the schedule, moving it forward at the last minute at a major championship or just at any championship with a huge amount of competitors, I think is fundamentally unfair. I don't care how many times you announced it on the loudspeaker. I don't care how many emails you sent that morning. I do not care, because that does not change the fact that that is fundamentally unfair. Timon Koleszinski very nearly missed out on 3x3 as a result of this noise. And I don't think that's very clever. I'm going to go to World Cube Association. It's not making me sign in again, so that's nice. Let's go back here and let's go to Asian, because I want to show you something. Asian Championship. Another little thing I want to show you, which I think was goofy and kind of, if you're telling me, oh, we sent an email, if you're telling me we sent an email first thing in the morning and everyone should have known, first of all, that's unrealistic. People are actually busy in a country that they may have not been to before, in a city they may not have been to before. They're focused on their events, on their results. Look at this down here. 29 regions were involved in this competition. So, you know, up to 29 languages potentially in this competition as well. I think that is absolutely just unrealistic, unacceptable, and just a crazy decision to think that you can communicate a change like that at the last minute, which was not an urgent change. It didn't need to be changed. They should have stuck to the schedule. If they were ahead of time, they should have got back on schedule by just having a pause, having a break, extending lunchtime or whatever. That's an easy thing to communicate. This is done. Off you go. Do your thing. Okay, some information coming in from James. I think we're on the same page generally. I think moving things ahead of schedule at a major comp is a bad thing. At a local comp, it's fine, but deliberately doing it at a major is ridiculous. They were turning up half an hour before their original time and still being denied. Here we go. My understanding is that the pre-comp email told people they needed to turn up half an hour before the whole event started. Now, that's important because in some events, there were up to 30 groups, which is pretty heavy going. And so technically, James is saying they were told what to do before the comp even started. So if you're in group 30, you still had to be there half an hour before the event started. That's tough. James saying that's not how comps work in most parts of the world, and it's not a reasonable requirement. But what I would push back on you with, James, is that there's a handbook, right? There must be a handbook for how comps are run. I believe there is a delegate. Someone sent me a link to a delegate handbook, but I have not yet ascertained whether that is publicly available or if that is meant to be only given to delegates or not. James, yes, that's what they were expecting people to do. Everyone had to turn up half an hour before the start of the event. Now, is that unreasonable? I'm just considering that. Is that in itself unreasonable? I'm not sure. Essentially, though, this is what happened. They moved the schedule forward, and people were denied access to their events because they didn't get there in time for these new times that were announced sort of on the day. It's pretty rough. I feel for people who put a lot of travel in. That is really tough. And in my mind, if I was looking at that on a higher level, I'm like, well, no, that's unacceptable. So either there is a regulation, not a regulation, it wouldn't be a reg. Either there is a guideline or a rule somewhere that says that shouldn't have happened, or if not, there needs to be, because that's not okay. Imagine, put yourself in that position. If you've flown from New Zealand or you've flown from the US to be at Asian Championships and you miss out on your event because the schedule was running ahead of time, how much money have you just lost? That's huge. And there was one post, or one comment, I should say. There was one comment about a delegate that was overheard. So dubious as to the authenticity of the source. So I might not show it because I don't want to reveal who said it, but someone overheard a delegate saying things. This is actually, we'll talk to Antoine about this as soon as we go on, because this is really interesting. Someone heard a delegate saying to a parent and their child, this is the time you should have been here. How can I let you in now? If I let you in, I'm teaching you that that's okay. So by keeping you out, I'm teaching you the results of your actions. I'm teaching you that the actions have consequences. And that is, I should teach that more than letting you in, because that is showing you favoritism or whatever. That's being lenient. That's not applying the rules correctly. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want you to learn a lesson from this. And to me, that sounded, to my ignorant, Caucasian Western mind, that to me sounded quite, I guess, I suppose Chinese coded in a sense. And I hope that's not offensive, but it backs up a stereotype, which is that attitudes in China are quite strict. It's like, cool, fair play, that's fine. That's fine, and I guess I get it, because so I coach a very young rugby team over here in New Zealand, touch rugby, my daughter's rugby team, so 5, 6, 7-year-olds, which actually is kind of peak cubing age. And I guess it's a very gentle approach over here. Everyone gets a turn to start with the ball, everyone gets a turn to be the dummy half, everyone gets a turn to try for a try. And that's kind of how we do it. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about delegates and coaching in China and remembering Teacher Jia talking about being a coach in a recent video as well. And I'm like, it is very different. It is very different. And I see, I think I emphasize a little bit with that response from the delegate. I can't say if it was word for word correct or whatever, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I see that. I do see that as a thing. So essentially, to summarize, that is what happened. Asian Championships got ahead of schedule, and my understanding is that as a result of that, of things getting ahead of schedule, people were denied entry to events that they'd signed up for, even though they turned up on time as per the original email. That is my understanding of what has happened. As always, hit me in the comments if you're watching this on the VOD. Hit me in the chat just now if you have any thoughts about that as well. James Melby, if I show up to a comp and I'm on time for my scheduled time, but they moved it up, they're going to have to call the police to throw me out. I hear you. I do hear you. And yeah, my sympathies to anyone who did fall foul of that, if that is indeed what has happened. James is saying, it's also worth noting that Asian champs got behind schedule quite a bit at points. How did they manage to do both? So just poor scheduling all around. Ernester must have felt like dropping an ice cream. Yeah, an epic ice cream. Thousands of dollars worth of ice cream in that cone.
One eternity later.
So you were at Asian Championships because it was in Malaysia, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Give us your understanding of what you observed with the scheduling, particularly as in regards to events getting ahead of time and people missing out on 3x3.
Yeah, so I think there's a bit of context that's really important for this. So I wasn't at the competition on the first day, and 3x3 only started on the third day, I believe, if I remember correctly. Was it the second day or the third day? I don't remember. But anyways, at least on the first day, the schedule was very much behind. So they were behind schedule, I think, by an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. So it was really, really bad. And at that venue, they had actually, I don't think that they designed the schedule very well.
Okay.
They had the schedule designed so that it finished at something like 9:50 p.m. It ends very late, and they would get kicked out of the venue at 10 o'clock.
Okay, there's an issue.
And so on the first day, what they did is they canceled lunch, they canceled dinner break, and so they were just able to make it in time. And then, so my understanding is that on the following days, they didn't want to get into a situation where they weren't able to finish a round because the schedule was scheduled to finish very late. Didn't want to get into a situation where they couldn't finish a round, and so they tried to run everything as fast as possible.
Okay.
And so whenever they could be early, they were early. That is my understanding of the reason why they did this. And so on the day that everybody's talking about where the schedule was super early, it was early, and they were able to finish everything, before 10 p.m. On the last day, the schedule was also a little bit late. So from what I remember, there's only one day where everything was super early, and that would be the reason why. But it was bad experience for competitors because I think, it's pretty clear. If you think that you're scheduled for one time and it's actually 1 hour before, it's hard for you to get ready and people can miss groups. And so it causes a bad experience. In my opinion, I think that if you're so early, then you should be giving yourself some time and waiting a little bit more in between the groups so that you actually stay on time. And the main thing is that your schedule should be more realistic and not be scheduled to end so late. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and 10 minutes before you're about to be kicked out of a venue, scheduling your event to end in that close proximity to the actual get out time that's an oversight. Like, that's a mistake. That's not necessarily bad.
And the competition also began fairly late in the morning.
Later than planned?
I know. No, not later than planned, but I know that on day 2, I think the competition only started at 10 a.m.
Oh, right, okay.
And so for me, that's quite late for a competition to start. And so I think it would have been a lot easier to just start a little bit earlier in the morning so then they're not worried about getting kicked out. Yeah,
that would have made sense. If maybe there was an issue that they weren't allowed in until a certain time as well, if it was that kind of venue. How was the venue? It looked like it was a big old spot, hey? It looked really nice.
Yeah, so it was in a big shopping mall.
A mall, okay.
And then it was one big room at convention center.
Okay.
What I didn't like about that venue, though, I'd say 2 things. One thing is that it was completely flat and there were very few tables. So the layout of the venue made it difficult for you to see the people competing.
Okay, yeah.
And there was also not very much room for you to just hang out at tables because I think in total there were less than 10 tables, maybe 7 or 8.
For 700 people?
There were actually more tables that were reserved for staff than for general competitors.
Interesting.
And then there was just a bunch of chairs, but also a lot of people would stand at the front of the venue.
Yeah, okay.
So watching competitors, and so you couldn't really see anything while people were competing.
Something I've seen at a few Chinese comps is they do create a really big gap between the front of the spectators and the competitors. Hey, they always keep a really big gap there. I saw that at SSL and I saw that at Asian Championships, I think, as well. That's what I'm drawing that from. These two comps I've seen. Was that something you've noticed, or is that just is that an anomaly at those comps?
I've come to think of it, I think most of the Chinese competitions I've been to usually have a stage, and so it's really easy to see the people competing, and so it's not really relevant how much space there is. But usually, I suppose there's lots of space in front. So that was like one of my qualms about the venue, and then the other qualm was that the air conditioning was too cold.
Too cold.
But I think that's definitely not an Asian Championships thing. I'm pretty sure it's a Malaysian thing. In my hotel, you can say I'm wearing a sweater. It's not because it's just cold here. It's just the air conditioning for some reason doesn't seem to. It's set to 26, but it's definitely lower than 26.
Yeah, right. No, I can see it behind you. Full rip. Vents are open. Full rip. James reminded me Asian Champs was in Malaysia, not China. Yes, yeah, cool. Thank you. I got confused. I was just thinking. Sorry, I said 2 Chinese comps. I said I think I was thinking of regional. But yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for that. It's that one specifically talking about the scheduling stuff. I do feel for people, and it hadn't occurred to me until James brought it back up there that 15% of 3x3 competitors were cut. That's not insignificant. You know, that's getting on for 100 people in a 650 person comp, right? 15%, 65 plus 30.
I don't know if James is still here. Where did you get that number? I would be curious to know if it's, does that include no-shows? Like, how is it, can you tell which part is those who are registered, who attended, didn't make it, and which portion just didn't come to the competition? Because I know lots of people didn't come to the competition that were signed up.
Very fair question. State your source, James. State your source. Thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. I stream once a week and I release videos pretty much every day. Also use code CUBECAST to save 5% at speedcubeshop.com, Cubing Life Academy, speedcube.nz, lastlayercubing.com. Have fun, solve cubes, and I'll catch you in the next one.